A new year is here and it looks like a good one for role-playing. I'm Falcon and today on gameranx, 10 RPGs to look out for in 2018. Number 10 is Vampyr with a Y, however, it is pronounced Vampire despite the Y. Vampyr is an action RPG in which you play a doctor who has become a vampire. It takes place in London, 1918, which is right in the middle of a pandemic of Spanish flu. It's one of those famous historical events. They've plopped a vampire into it, and what's interesting is the good doctor has to choose whether or not he will stay a good doctor, upholding the Hippocratic Oath, and as an undead only prey on the evil, or perhaps, just be a big old jerk. Hey, you're down to Spanish flu anyway, so I guess I'll feed on your blood. The combat also looks pretty sweet in this game. It has this spring move that kind of acts like a roll or a teleport, but it looks pretty streamlined, and I'm looking forward to how it plays out in battle. Number 9 is Kingdom Hearts 3, which if you're aware of Kingdom Hearts, is probably the thing that you've been waiting for a long time. If not, it's Disney and Square Enix crossover series, and Disney now owns Star Wars and the Marvel Universe, and that includes the X-Men now. Just saying. Like, there's basically no denying Kingdom Hearts is an action RPG form of the weirdest fan fiction of all time, and for that, a lot of people really love it. In a lot of ways, it is as influential on most of today's action RPGs as Zelda or Dark Souls, so it's pretty cool that it's coming around. Will it conclude the story? I don't know. I would hope it does. But Kingdom Hearts is also pretty notorious for branching off in 100,000 different directions with other releases over the years. Not that that's a bad thing, it's nice to have more games. And let's keep in mind there's a decent chance this one's gonna get delayed, so don't get your hopes up too high, but whenever it happens, it's gonna be great. Number 8 is Kingdom Come Deliverance, a classless action RPG, which will have a branching system and uses the Cry engine. The game takes place in 1403 in the Kingdom of Bohemia. And if you're looking for accurate medieval, you don't need to look any further. You could look at it as something that is very similar to Skyrim or The Witcher if there was no fantasy element. And it does actually look incredibly good. Certainly very distinctive compared to those games because we don't really have a hell of a lot of period accurate stuff, and that's what they're going for here. Now, I'm not gonna say the character models look like the absolute best ones I've ever seen in my life, but the map, the world, the details really look amazing. What will definitely make it unique is the sword-oriented combat system that bases itself on different angles of attack and obviously has no magic whatsoever, so it'll take some getting used to. The question's gonna be if people enjoy a game that's definitely more trying for a realistic look at the time period, or will people miss the fantasy elements, the unreal elements of Skyrim and The Witcher? We'll see. Number 7 is Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire, which you had to know was coming. Pillars of Eternity was such a big hit, and what's nice is it is actually a direct sequel continuing the story, taking place in the same world, but with the intention of finding new and different places, and trying to address some of the criticisms that some people had. For me, these were very minor criticisms. A lot of people thought there was a lot of filler combat. I thought it was really enjoyable fight in it, personally, so it wasn't such a big deal. I'm not saying it never dragged a little bit, but pretty solid game. If they manage to actually improve upon that formula, Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire is going to be a must-have. Even if they don't improve on it, honestly, if it just maintains the same level of quality as the previous one. Number 6 is Project Octopath Traveler, which looks very much like an old-school RPG meant to become something new. Square Enix has dubbed the style HD 2D, in which the character is a sprite, the world is polygons, but still reminiscent of old sprite-based RPG games. Honestly, it has a bit of like a model feel to it, like it was built as an art project, and I think it's really unique looking, while kind of being something I think a lot of us all imagined would eventually happen. Back in the 90s when we played JRPGs and 3D games were first happening, characters have different abilities intended to play up the role-playing elements of the game, and what looks to be a very upgraded turn-based old-school RPG battle system. This looks a lot like the honed version of every JRPG, and that's great. That's exactly what I want to play, actually. I'm really looking forward to this. Number 5 is Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. Now, if you've never played any of the Mount & Blade series, it's like Kingdom Come Deliverance, not fantasy-oriented. However, it is not really like Kingdom Come Deliverance in that this is more of a combat simulation game. Mount & Blade has always functioned as more of a sandbox, and it works out very well, hinging on the player to create stakes and play them out. Bannerlord takes place 200 years before Warband, and is meant to depict the time during the fall of the Chaldean Empire, which stands in for the Roman Empire. There's a faction system, and you basically end up taking part in a civil war. I don't think that the scenario is going to specifically change the gameplay a lot, though. Instead, it's probably just going to be an improvement on the previous games, and that's good because the previous games are very, very good. They've always been a little bit behind graphically, so I'm not expecting miracles in that department, but it does at least look a lot better than the previous titles. And as far as purely role-playing, sandbox-style medieval combat, that's like purely focused on that, you're gonna be hard-pressed to do better than this in the coming year. Number 4 is Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom, which is going to play exactly like you expect it to, towns, world map, all that, but with a battle system that seems to, well, try less to be Final Fantasy and Pokemon at once, and work towards creating something specific to the series. You only command one character during a battle, takes place in a free roam arena, and it's based more around melee combat than anything else. Which to me sounds very interesting, and if it actually plays out that way, I have pretty high expectations for the game because I loved the original, despite some of its weirdness and areas that frankly could have gone by a little bit faster. Still, easily one of the better JRPGs from that era. Number 3 is Code Vein, a Soulsborne-style anime, dystopian, post-apocalyptic action RPG. It's a pretty interesting looking game, basically an apocalypse where these yellow spike things come out of the ground and end the world, combines with this really dark anime aesthetic to create something that honestly looks quite unique, while at the same time containing nice familiar gameplay mechanics that for all intents and purposes look just as hard, just as timing oriented, and in a lot of ways like an evolution of the Soulsborne games. The world actually seems very unique to me, despite being yet another post-apocalyptic dystopia. Yes, it is that grim, dark, blood-oriented anime look, but for whatever reason it really seems fresh, and I really want to play this. Number 2 is Monster Hunter World, which is probably the biggest version of Monster Hunter we've ever seen. It certainly is the first one to bring global 4-player online co-op, indeed reflecting the name Monster Hunter World quite well. Also an update in that specific gameplay style. Instead of zoning all of the different areas of the Monster Hunter world, it's all going to take place in one big open world, which is exciting for people who enjoy the series. It's been something a lot of people have wanted for quite a while, while at the same time being sort of an introduction to the series to, well, the West, to be frank. Yes, the games have existed here in some form for most of the series' existence, but moving to an open world allowed them to adopt some things that might feel a little bit more at home for Western players, and they expect that the worldwide community should have an easier time meshing together with this, but wanted everybody to make sure that they knew it would be the kind of gameplay they know and love from Monster Hunter, which to me sounds like the best possible outcome for a Monster Hunter simultaneously released worldwide console and PC game. And finally, number 1 is Anthem, the game that it could be argued gave us an inferior Mass Effect game due to the resources and effort being shifted to it. I can't confirm that, it's speculation, but still. Just based on the last BioWare release, Mass Effect Andromeda, Anthem better be damn good. It's an online, shared world, cooperative, multiplayer, action RPG in an open world environment, and while yes, I am a little suspicious of a game like this that is coming out in the loot box / microtransaction heyday, so to speak, I am also cautiously optimistic, as one of the writers for the game is Drew Karpyshyn, the writer of Knights of the Old Republic and the lead writer on the first 2 Mass Effect games. He also wrote the Darth Bane trilogy, and they're great books. So in all honesty, I have quite a bit of hope for the game. It's just cautious hope. Few bonus games for you. First, Secret of Mana HD, a ground-up 3D remake of the Super Nintendo game that manages not to lose the charm of the SNES game, which I think is the highest priority. It also looks like it has some mechanical improvements as well. Then there's Shenmue 3, which has been well over a decade in the making, and if it gets delayed again, possibly 2 decades in the making. Shenmue 3 was highly influential on all video games. Open world games owe so much to it. Let's hope we see it this year. And finally, God Eater 3, which, with Monster Hunter World coming out, of course another God Eater needs to. God Eater's basically Monster Hunter plus a big ol' JRPG story, and this one looks pretty post-apocalyptic and fun. As well as Biomutant, an action RPG with a fairly fast-paced, arcadey battle system, and an aesthetic and sensibility that seems like it came from the 90s mascot platforming genre. These are 2 things I hold very near and dear to my heart, so I'll be watching this with great interest. Which RPG are you looking forward to the most in 2018? Leave us a comment. If you enjoy this video, please click like, and if you're not subscribed, now would be a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. Also, click that alarm bell. Don't want to miss new videos. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.